your new house anytime within the first 4 to 6 months of 2024, it is time to start the home buying journey. How exciting! There is a lot that goes into this, and I've broken it down to 7 major steps that take place when buying a house here in Vegas or Henderson, and I will detail each one of them so you can have a really good idea of exactly what you're getting into. Hi, my name is Christina Alexa. I'm a real estate agent here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I specialize in relocation. If you would like any further information, just email me here or send me a direct message on Instagram. So the first step in the home buying process is to find a real estate agent, and you're already pretty much on that step, so congrats. If you found me, decided we'd be a good fit, then next thing to do is just reach out so we can hop on our initial call. If you are still doing some research, I would advise you some good tips to find an agent is just kind of checking them out online, especially if you're not in the area here to Las Vegas. Kind of feel them out for their personality. If you really think they might be a good fit for you, it's always the best bet to go for who you're going to really enjoy working with. Sometimes real estate isn't fun, even though I make it seem super fun, and you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person. So traits to look for are communication, consistency, knowledge, and skills. The next step in the first phase of finding an agent is hopping on a call with them. Typically with my clients, we're messaging on Instagram or an email for a bit, and then I like to get them on the phone and we basically discuss all of the details besides the actual home. That's pretty easy, finding a house, moving into it. I like to find out when you need to move, what circumstances are affecting it, what the financial situation is going to look like, are there job transfers we need to be waiting for, and any other factors that would affect your ability to move here so that I can help you in the best way and make sure we're on the same page. Also in this call, I'm sharing with you what the market is looking like at the time so we can best prepare. Real estate market changes every day, and everyone has a different timeline. So it's really good on this call for client and agent, whether that's me or not, to get to know each other and let each other know all of the moving parts and the circumstances that will take place moving forward. In addition, on this initial call, I basically go through everything I'm going to say in this video. I go through what the process is going to look like from start to finish very briefly, as we have a second consultation after we get finances squared away. So once we talk on the phone, I determine if it's a good idea to get the mortgage loan officer in the cards with us at the time. And typically I'm going to refer you, if you don't have a loan officer already, to one of my preferred lenders based on your situation and who I think you might be a good fit with. You can go with whatever loan officer that you like. I will just ask that you interview mine because I know we work very well. So we will basically get off this call with action items of let's get in touch with the loan officer and whatever else we've determined together that needs to be done so we can move forward. Action items of this call are basically like 1 to 3 little mini steps to get to the next phase. The next phase is basically just that. It's working on the action items. A lot of times it's getting in touch with that mortgage officer so that we can get the finances squared away. Or if you're going to be buying cash, getting your proof of funds over to me and making sure everything is in the account that we're going to be using. Getting you on a home search so you can start finding listings that fit your criteria here in Las Vegas and Henderson. And the last thing in this phase is just finalizing any items that may need to be done for us to move forward, such as work job transfers or selling your house in a different state, things like that. So we've got all our ducks in a row, everything's figured out, and next we get to go house hunting. So there's kind of like a mini step within the house hunting phase, which is part 3, and that's just getting a large list of listings that you might be interested in. I always encourage my clients when you're house hunting just to send me everything that you're interested in, even if you're like, I like this, but I'm not sure about this. We're going to compile a list of houses that I pull and that you've pulled that we think might be a good fit. From there, I'm going to go and find out more before we go actually view houses in person. I'm going to find out things like anything that might inhibit us from seeing the property, if the property is in probate, if the property has solar, if it's going to be a property tax rate that you're comfortable with, things like that basically will help us narrow down from the larger list of what we're going to go see. A lot of times I start with 20 houses, and after I gather all the information, share with my client, they determine, hey, I think it's better if we just go see like our top 5, and then we'll schedule that day where we go house hunting, and that is a very, very fun part. Part 4 in the home buying process is to actually view homes and write offers. So there's 2 things. One, we're going to view homes. Clearly we're very, very well prepared because we've done that kind of step 3, all the homework up front. We know that the houses that we're walking into, if we decide we like them, we would be ready, willing, and able to write offers based on all of the financial and additional information that we have seen. Now the offer part, a lot of it is depending on myself. So I create a market analysis for that property in particular to make sure that you're not paying anything over what the true value of that house is. I love getting great deals for my clients, and I really pride myself on that. After the market analysis is shared with you, we basically create an offer strategy. This is a case-by-case basis, but what happens is we discuss like, hey, this is what we think we would be willing to offer as far as price point. And then there's quite a few other things that we're able to negotiate. Step 5 is basically negotiations on the upfront side. So let's say we sent an offer out and we get a counter back, then you and I basically come back to the table and we say, what does this counter say? Do we agree with it? Are we going to counter their counter back? And it just really goes from there. Oftentimes negotiations happens anywhere between 1 to 3 days at most. Typically they're done within a couple hours. If buyer's really motivated and seller's really motivated, we can get it wrapped up. That's a really small step there. And sometimes when you have an amazing agent like me, we don't really have to negotiate because we wrote such a strong offer to begin with that our offer gets accepted right away. Next, step 6 of the home buying process is the under contract period. Now this is escrow. So you should know that all escrow really means is under contract, and everyone's doing what they need to do to get all their documents and funds as needed to get to the closing table. So there's 3 things that take place during the under contract period, and the first is going to be sending in your earnest money deposit. This is an initial deposit that is sent in typically within the first 1 to 2 days of getting our offer accepted, and it's basically good faith money. It's somewhere, it really depends on your price point. It can be as low as $3,000, it can be as high as 10 to 15. It's part of your down payment that you're sending initially up front to basically tell the seller, like, hey, I'm serious, we're gonna work with you and we're gonna get to the closing table. After EMD, we go into repairs, and this is when we hire a third-party home inspector, and this is a cost that does come out of your pocket as a buyer, and it is non-refundable. The price is based on square footage, and we get quotes from a couple different companies in town, and it's typically anywhere between like $300 to $400. Sometimes it's like $325 or less if your house is smaller in square footage. We hire this third-party inspector, and he goes in and tells us any recommendations on repairs he believes should be done, and we get a report with pictures and videos and all of the things that we need to submit a repairs request. So once the inspection is done, we basically submit this repairs request to the sellers saying, hey, obviously we're under contract, we just got an inspection done, we would love for these couple items to be fixed before we receive the home and before closing. Would you be willing to fix them? And they can either say yes, say no, or come back and say, hey, we're going to fix these items or we're not going to fix this item. And this is when negotiations do kind of open up a little bit again, because if for whatever reason the sellers happen to say like, we're not going to fix anything, and you as a buyer don't feel comfortable moving forward, we can back out of the contract. The next thing that happens that really doesn't have anything to do with you as the buyer or myself, we don't necessarily show up to this event, is the appraiser goes out to the property to give the home its fair market value. The appraiser is a necessary step by your loan officer, which is the bank, asking for basically the fair market value of the home. This is a cost that comes out of your pocket as a buyer. So the 2 additional costs, besides down payment and closing costs, is going to be that home inspection, and then the appraisal is also going to come out of your pocket. So the appraiser goes out to the property, and he's a licensed professional who had to go through school to get these qualifications, and he basically determines the fair value of the home. Because I do so much upfront work when we're writing our offer, and we have such clean, great offers go out with my name on it, we oftentimes are right on the spot for what the fair value of the home is worth. For example, let's say we offer $450,000. The appraiser is going to basically determine if the home is worth $450,000, more or less. And once we get this document, it is completely protected. Only you and I see it. So if there's any discrepancy in the appraisal amount versus our offer amount, we decide how to move forward. And that is a case-by-case basis. So we basically come together, you and I, realtor and client, decide how we will move forward. Oftentimes with mine, they're literally always at value because I make sure you are not paying a penny over. And so it's pretty simple to get through this step. We're in the home stretch. It is closing day on your property, and there's 3 things that go down during this day, and sometimes it can be between 1 to 2 days. So these 2 things are the final walkthrough, the signing, and then the key handover. So the final walkthrough is basically when you and I go back to visit the property and we just make sure that any repairs that we asked to be completed are completed. We just physically put our own eyes on everything, make sure the property is in good condition and we're ready to receive the property. After final walkthrough, we sign that we're really ready to go, and you as the buyer are ready to sign. So your signing is basically what you'll hear like, oh, I'm closing today on my house, I'm signing today on my house, or at the closing table, because we literally go to a physical table just like this in a conference room at the escrow company, and we just sign all the final documents needed to finalize the purchase. So typically after signing, you're going to run over to the bank to get your final down payment wired in, and we're going to give you that exact amount down to the penny, so don't stress like, oh, what am I supposed to send in? You literally just take the piece of paper that we give you, give it to the teller, and you don't really have to say much. They're going to know what to do next. So we've sent in our funds and we've closed. So basically all that happens next is I get to hand over the keys. And what happens between us signing and key handover is all the documents get sent over to the county, the clerk's office, and once they basically read over everything and say, okay, cool, we've recorded the sale, is when I can legally hand you over keys because you are legally the new homeowner. Isn't that awesome? So those are the 7 steps that take place when you are buying a home. Obviously, this can take place over the course of a month. This can take place over the course of a year, depending on your financials, depending on the house hunt, and what the real estate market itself is doing. So if you're looking to get into a house anytime early 2024, I very strongly encourage you to start looking for agents. Reach out to me. Let's just have the conversation going, because you can either be closer or further than you might think. And also keep in mind that all of these details are for resale properties, meaning existing homes. If you are buying new construction, this timeline could be stretched even further for the property itself to actually be built. Thank you so much for watching. With any further questions, just reach out on Instagram or send me an email, and I'll see you guys next time.